Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Tough times. I'm not going to lie. These past weeks, they have been pretty difficult for me because there were no partner webinars and I was so lonely. Hello again. My name is Luka Zubka. You joined the webinar focused on server and on-premises solutions. Just an FYI, I might use both terms, server and on-premises here. I might interchange them a little bit. That's just the way I do things. But why this topic? Well, because it has always been a competitive advantage of ours. It's going to remain the same. We, as Easy Software, are committed to on-premises solution. We eventually want to become the enterprise vendor of on-premises solution. And overall, a big part of our client base or a big chunk of our open opportunities are aiming towards on-premises Easy8 solution. Sure, it can be complicated, like just about anything around project management softwares. On-premises, that's not for everyone, and that always needs to be acknowledged, or it needs to be acknowledged at some times. It can be a weak spot not only in the partner/client relationships, but also in partner/vendor relationships. And we are guilty of not providing all information simply because there's so many variables. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. That's, after all, our responsibility and our commitment towards our partners. For example, Atlassian has been significantly moving away from on-premises solutions that provides many options for us. We have got the open source code that will continue to be attractive in the future. Now, here we are on a Thursday afternoon, at least here in Prague, Czech Republic. I am in a position to understand how important more information on this topic is for our partners. And after all, most of the content of this webinar has actually been built around previous questions that we've gotten from our partners. The question is, though, can I present all of this? Some of it is different language for me. I was shown the materials and I wasn't sure if it isn't encrypted already. Is that English? Should I break the Da Vinci Code with this? Well, it is obviously a stretched joke, but this leads me to introduce my colleagues that we've brought into the webinar to help us. So allow me to introduce two colleagues that will do the majority of speaking today. First, Robo Kováčik, the head of QA. Hello, Robo.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to be here with you.
Nice. And Jan Robicek, the head of customer success. Hello, Robi.
Hello, pleased to be here.
I am glad to have both of you here. Now, let's get the formalities out of the way so we can get into the content. This webinar is obviously being recorded, as always. It is not the last of its kind, so keep your feedbacks coming. It does help us a ton. We expect approximately 30 minutes of speaking, and then we want to do a question of answers part after. If we get any questions that are simply too difficult to properly address here within this span of time, we will take it offline. Just keep in mind that you can use the Q&A icon on the bottom of your screen in this Zoom application, and just don't use the chat, please. I mean, we might see it in the chat. It's just more complicated. It can get lost. The Q&A, it's specifically designed for this function. Partners@easysoftware.com. Allow me to repeat, partners@easysoftware.com. Use that for further questions. We will distribute them accordingly and just use it for anything else as a matter of fact. Now, your time is expensive. My time is expensive. There is Euro Championship going on, so we have plenty of things to do. So let's move forward. I will pass the word to my colleagues in a moment. Robert Kováčik will start with some upcoming improvements planned with version 14 of Easy8. And once we're done with some, cool quality of life upgrades, we'll move on. And Jan Robicek will talk about service solutions from the point of support, consulting, and customer success. Ideal approach, available services, how to contact details. And then we will end the speaker part and move on to the Q&A section as promised. So with the agenda out of the way, I think there is nothing else for me to do right now than ask my colleague to jump in. I give enough time for people to join, so let's start learning something new. Robo, may I ask you to take this further, at least for a few minutes?
I took it further even before you had time to ask.
Beautiful.
So, thanks for
That's
the
teamwork.
word, Lukáš. I hope you can see client zone in the screen.
Yes, I can see the client zone.
And this is where I would like to start. The change that I would like to present to you is very strongly connected to on-premises solution, and its main intention is to make client's life as easy as possible with the complex software or complex mechanisms which are generally understood in the on-premise solutions. So here we are when a client logged in the client zone. Previously, there were options to download the package of various older versions possibly, but the package was always zip containing the source code, which they download, they install on their server, they run a couple of commands, they need to prepare a lot of things, and then it's finally installed. We call it legacy now. The other thing, the new thing is the magic word Docker, which you will be hearing quite a lot about. Many of you have already heard a lot about it. Easy software in our applications, we have adopted Docker, and it will bring you some unprecedented simplifications. So, as I said, if you download legacy package, you get the source code. If you download the Docker package, it's package in quotation marks because it's not really a package. It's practically a set of guides, of very specific guides. Can see that is really specific. It's we never had this kind of step-by-step guide. Once you prepare your server this way, I hope I didn't jump. It says my internet connection is unstable. I hope you can still hear me. So
you did for a second, but now it's perfect.
Yeah, thanks. So you don't download the code here. You receive the README as I just showed you. You receive some credentials into our into a place where you can download the package directly from the server, and then the admin just goes into the server and just continues from there. No need to go into client zone any further. Let me show this to you in a scheme. This is how it used to work. This is how it still works currently. You have a server. It needs to have operating system and some database and some source, some Ruby code. It has its dependencies, some other services, etc., etc. Only then the application, our application, can run. So you can download the source code, but unless you prepare all of this else, you will not be able to run it. So fine, let's say you have it installed, then an update comes, you go to that client zone, you download the package, you need to verify that your requirements are ready on the server, that they contain the new versions, and then you can start the update. The update itself makes some updates on its own, and then finally you have the application installed. This is how it works. Some admins are familiar with it, don't have a problem with it, but it's still, you can see it's cumbersome. Now the new way, the Docker, is that you have a server, physical or virtual, up to you. You have operating system. We don't care what kind of operating system it is. You can use whichever. What we do care is that you run a proper Docker stack. Docker daemon, Docker is written, and it's written in the README as I showed before. So it's all there. Once you have this, it's just a matter of writing a command Docker pool, for example. I don't know exact. It downloads the Easy8 application with everything that it needs to have to be able to run as you know it. The Docker infrastructure, it's a really like a game-changing, let's say, infrastructure for on-premise solutions, because it really makes you install this which you needed previously. It allows you to install it in one command. So fine, you have it installed. Now, okay, we release an update. All you have to do, all the admin has to do, is Docker pool. The mechanism takes all of the parts of the application and just replaces the old one. The data, of course, stays. Everything stays the same. You just run one simple command. Maybe I am simplifying a little bit, but it's just a little bit, because this is really the whole concept. This is the whole next level of on-premise solutions. Just a simple comment, and you have it. You have it in your test environment. If you run it there, you have it on your production. If you run it there, simple as that. So just a few words about it. I guess it was hopefully kind of clear from the images. The administrator in the previous system had to maintain all the dependencies. The operating system had to be Debian. There was nothing else. There are lots of steps to update your application. In case of major updates, you may have needed to move to a new server because installing all of the dependencies on the same server may have been more complicated. So the client might have needed to move to a new server altogether. There was also some parts of the Ruby ecosystem where something was out of our hands, and some parts of the code, little ones, maybe unnoticeable, but may have been sent to the server without our previous test, because at the time that we were testing it, they were not released yet. So what the Docker does, it holds in it all of the dependencies, and we have complete control over them. Nothing unwanted is able to get there. The update is by a single command, as I showed before. The operating system, whatever you have on the server is arbitrary. As long as you have the Docker stack, everything else is up to you. And major upgrades, for example, from version 13 to 14, from 16 to 18, whatever will come in the future, will be as simple as the bug fixing updates. You will just run the simple command. That's it. That's the whole point of the Docker. We are now going to take the next couple of weeks to prepare a full, robust documentation, business-wise, technical-wise, so that everyone knows what great benefits it brings. And this is going to be the primary type of on-premise deployment in the coming months, and hopefully once it will be the only one. I know I took a little bit long, so I will put the word back to the studio. I will be ready for any questions.
You did not take too long, especially when you're bringing like good information, right? Everyone is quite ready for good information, and we all know that when we're working with on-premises or server solutions, there is always some complication around the corner. So it's very nice to hear news that are actually on the opposite side, that make things very much simple or simpler. Thank you, Robo. Once again, Robo will stay with us for the Q&A section if it's going to be necessary, or if we're not going to have any question, we'll just end the webinar there. But I will sail the boat forward now. Let me ask a question. Why do some Easy8 users like the server alternative that much? Well, you could run it through the GPT, or you could just ask the clients, but overall, data security and control, so keeping data within their infrastructure, especially within the European Union and or while handling sensitive information, the compliance and regulatory requirements that can be the EU again, but not exclusively, performance, so reducing latency and dependency on internet connection, and ultimate control over software updates. Even though new versions are amazing, there are some clients that simply refuse to update to newer versions more than once every 2 years, for example, and or in some cases, integration with legacy systems, for example. This could be more common for larger companies that I would have thought previously, but that's the reality. However, it is fair to say that Easy8 on clients' premises might not be for everyone, even though they might think it is. Also, clients or partners might have more questions about Robert's part as well, for example. So overall, that's what services and support are for. I will use this as a small segue for the other colleague eagerly waiting to jump in. So Robbie, I shall remove myself from the screen, and now you go, man.
Perfect, thank you. It's funny to see how Segway kind of died in the real world, but it still stays as a figure of speech. Okay, so first thing, I would like to say that I do not like to present next to Lukáš because I'm not so eloquent, and my production skill levels are much lower than, for example, Robo's when it comes down to diagrams. So I would like to apologize first.
The biggest difference is I'm eloquent, but at the end of the day, I do not say much. It's just a show. You guys are here to actually sell something to the partners and explain what's useful. So I think you two guys are actually more important.
Quite. All right. So, do you see my screen? Perfect. Cool. So, as Lukáš mentioned, I'm Jan Robicek. I'm the head of customer success in here. My team is responsible for the life cycle of the client from the moment when it gets handed over from the sales to their eventual, well, sometimes they leave. So I have support, I have professional services or consultants in my team, and I do have customer success managers as well. But this will be mainly about the support part. So what I'm gonna be talking about is who is on-premise solution good for, who is it not good for, how does the server support work, what are the support contacts and how to effectively report issues from that you get reported by the clients and you want to pass on to us. And I will also be going through some of the services that we have on offer for our on-premise segment. So who is the server solution good for? Who's the target group? Lukáš has already mentioned it. We're looking for, or it's designed mainly for organizations that have a high need for data security and privacy, healthcare, financial institutions, defense sector, or organizations that have specific regulatory or compliance requirements. We have certain government agencies as our clients, so that would be a typical example. It's the target group is businesses or organizations with IT infrastructure and support teams, because running your own on-premises, your own software on premises does require certain skills and resources. And basically, we're aiming on enterprises and organizations that are seeking full control over their data and system, as Lukáš mentioned before. Let's look on the other side of the coin. Who is the on-premise solution not suitable for? Because it's important for us to know who do we want to sell to and who do we not want to sell to. So the on-premise solution or server solution is definitely not good for small businesses without dedicated IT staff. It's something that's very important. We've seen it a few times where we had a client who didn't really have the resources to run their own on-premise server, and they then felt they're not really successful with Easy8 when they started to run into difficulties that a skilled administrator would handle easily. But since they didn't have the right resources, it was challenging for them. Something that's very important is that the server administrator on the client side should have good Linux, or more specifically Debian knowledge, or experience and knowledge of the Docker environment that Robo was talking about. There is an asterisk, as you can see. We do have a service that might help this type of client. I'm going to get to it later. And we're definitely not aiming for clients with fewer than 25 users. It is our policy to provide the server solution or the on-premise solution only to clients that have at least 25 users and above. Having less doesn't make sense for the client. themselves, for clients themselves, it doesn't make much of a business sense for ourselves. So what is the model of support when it comes down to supporting our on-premise clients? Inevitably, we operate on a shared responsibility principle. There's only so much we have under control. We're responsible for what we directly affect. That's the application code, the deployment package, and the associated documentation. The client has responsibility for what we cannot control, and that is their environment. They're responsible for the server configuration, they're responsible for the maintenance, the application installation, maintenance, monitoring, all that. In cloud, it's easier. The responsibility lies solely on our side, but since we do not have control over client servers, we don't have control over client data centers, we cannot bear the full responsibility for what's going on their server. There's two kind of levels of support that we have for on-premise clients. The first one is Easy Support, our internal support team. Their main responsibility is application support. So they will be handling the bugs, they will be troubleshooting the application, they will be providing quick how-to answers to quick how-to questions. When it comes down to supporting our on-premise clients, the role of the support team is information and log gathering. So they will be asking questions about the like to provide logs, to provide information about the environment the client is running on, which version of software, and so on. They will provide some basic troubleshooting assistance. And if our first level team cannot provide help straight away, they will be escalating it to the admin team. The admin team is outsourced. We do not have an internal administration infrastructure team for multiple reasons. So we're relying on a close technology partner called Admin IT. They do maintain our infrastructure, our cloud infrastructure. They help us with the DevOps, and also they provide server support to our on-premise clients. So they will be providing assistance with installations, updates, upgrades, migrations. They may provide assistance with environment configuration, mainly consultatory services, and will be providing assistance for certain services, component processes setup. They also do the troubleshooting. So when we get a ticket from a client that they are running on premises, are getting, I don't know, error 500 when they try to do something on their application, we get our support team gathers logs, passes it on to the server support, and server support will connect with the client, connect to their machine, investigate what's going on, and provide a fix. Given that Admin IT is a external provider service, the service is paid. We do have some SLAs when it comes down to our support team, and Admin IT, the support team, has won our first response time SLA. The Admin IT has SLA for the first response, 1 hour for severity 1 tickets, and 12 hours, I believe, for lower severity tickets. For the planned events, which is, for example, installations, upgrades, and so on, they need to plan a little bit more ahead, and the delivery time is typically 5 business days. You can find information about support in general and about server support on our website. If you go to easyredmine.com, go to services, click on support, you can find more information there. Sometimes a client approaches you asking to log a ticket or escalate an existing ticket with us. So I'm going to explain very briefly how you can do it, how you can speed things up, so the client doesn't have to wait unnecessarily. Our primary contact is via email, support@easysoftware.com. You can also, client can also log a ticket through Client Zone, or they can contact us via chat. When you're contacting us on behalf of client, very important is to say that you're a partner, provide the name of your company, and provide the name of the company of the client, so we know who we are dealing with. If you can get the information from the client how to recreate steps to reproduce the issue, it's very helpful for us to get those informations along with any screenshots and videos. We would like to ask you to provide us a point of contact on the client side, name, phone, email, and ideally the speaker should be, the contact should be an English speaker or a Czech speaker. And some very important bit when it comes down to application, to on-premises, is to get as much information about the application, the version of database, version of application, what plugins, and so on. You don't have to gather those information one by one. There is a trick that I'm going to show you, how you can get all these things in one go. If you ask a client to add /admin/info, you will get this information in an email, so you don't actually have to remember it. So if I have my colleagues test application, there's the URL of it. I add admin/info at the end of the URL. I get to this page, and here I can see all the information that support will need to find out what environment is the client running the application on. They will see the exact version of the software. They will see the environment, which version of Ruby, Rails, and so on, which type and version of database is there, what plugins are there, what is the system specifications, how many processors, how much of memory, what version of operating system is the application running on. That's very, very important for troubleshooting, and it often is one of the first information that our support will be asking in any case. What happens then is client or you logs a ticket with support. Support will review the information, will consult our internal knowledge base. If we need more information, we will repeat the cycle until we think we have enough. If we find out the root cause, we will provide a solution. If it's something that support is not able to handle, I have to put a little disclaimer here. Our support team has some basic understanding of the server topic, but they are not seasoned administrators, so they can provide some basic answers. But if there's something deeper, it needs to go to our admin team. So it will get escalated to our admin IT. They will review. They will either provide a fix if they, for example, find an answer in the logs that support gathered from the client, or they will contact the client and troubleshoot, ask for more information, connect to client server, and so on. And now I'm getting to other services that we can provide to our clients, a part of support, and that's remote installation. If the client lacks the skills or their administrators don't have the time to perform the installation themselves, they can purchase the installation from our admin team, and admin team will set up a time, connect to the client server, install Easy Redmine or Easy Project. If the client wants to perform an update, we have a similar package service. Packaged means it's a one-time payment, and we guarantee we install or we perform the update. For clients that are for new clients that are coming from Redmine to Easy Redmine, we can also help them with migrating the data over. And it's part of our commitment to the Redmine community to provide that service for free. And for our clients, if you remember on one of the early slides, there was an asterisk if the client doesn't have enough experience with either Linux or Docker or server topic in general, we can provide them a managed server service, which is a service that is designed for this type of client, and that basically we will connect the server to our monitoring. We will have a permanent access if the client needs to provide us permanent access to their environment, and we take over the responsibility for the updates, for the maintenance, for monitoring, administration. We will take responsibility for their backups, for the server security from the client. So the majority of the shared responsibility shifts our way. So that's a great help that we can provide to some of our less experienced clients, or clients that just don't want to deal with this kind of stuff on their day-to-day. And then the last service that we provide is kind of server support, which basically can encompass anything that is not part of one of the previous services. It can be consultations with our administrators regarding the server setup or the hardware requirements and so on. If the client needs any additional server type of help on the machine that is going to be running Easy Redmine, we can help them for a fee. In general, these services have some prerequisites. Different services have different prerequisites. In general, we can say that we need 3 things in order for our admin team to be able to provide assistance. The first one is the server has to have access to internet. We have to have access to the server if we need to troubleshoot remotely, and that's done either via SSH or TeamViewer. Preferably SSH. TeamViewer is more time consuming, and we will need a single point of contact on the client side, typically IT manager or administrator, and we need to have their name, email, and phone number. We will be, of course, providing some additional resources to you. Everything that I've talked about, we'll be sending you out information about the individual services. I will be sharing the presentation. Everything that I've talked about will be explained in there. And if you have any questions, you can either ask now, or you can reach out to Lukáš and the partner team via partner@easysoftware.com. And I would like to thank you, and I hope I didn't bore you to death.
I do not feel bored to death. I feel like I've learned something, even though I've been working here, right? That's always something new for me, let alone when I think from the point of view of someone that hasn't been working here for a while. I have seen that. Sorry, I'm just going to reset my video because it was delayed. I've noticed that Robo, in the meantime, has been answering some of the questions on the Q&A. I'm still going to through some of them and ask them because we would like to have them on recording, because we have some people that couldn't attend this, but they do want to watch the recording. We also have some questions asked by partners that couldn't be here that wanted us to address it here. So I assume let's start with the questions that I have written down here that were not in the Q&A. And the question is, our admin team is running our cloud, our server, which is operational 24/7. What do we do when we encounter a problem outside of your regular business hours? That's essentially for partners that are not in Europe or close to Europe, for example. I think, Robbie, this might be a question towards you.
Okay. Our regular business hours for the support team are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central European time. If you have a client, or if a client encounters issue with their server deployment, they've got, well, two options really. Either they can reach out to us. Depends on the severity, I would say. If it's something that is really critical and the client needs an immediate help, they can reach out to our admin team directly. However, if they do, the assistance is always built. If it's something that is not as critical, they can reach out to support team, and we will move the regular way as I've described the previous time.
Thank you. All right, another one from Daniel. Robo, I see that you've answered, but still, an installation from scratch, will it still be supported, or will Docker be the only way after version 14 release? Robo, do you mind running us through this answer one more time?
We cannot hear you.
We can't hear you, Robo. You might be muted.
Yeah, sorry, thanks.
Beautiful.
So, yes, installation from scratch will still be supported, but it will be completely trumped by the new Docker solution, because who really wants to be preparing all of these steps needed for installation from scratch? So the plan, after we officially roll out Docker to the whole world, our Docker to the whole world, is that we will have still the legacy solution, and we will be talking to our clients. You will be talking to your clients about transfer to the new much convenient Docker solution, and we will hear each other. We will hear the clients' reservations from them, their concerns, their general questions about it. We will really try to address everything that might prevent the clients to move to Docker solution. We want to know what they are afraid of, and we will do everything possible to just explain that the new solution is ultimately better, and it doesn't really have any disadvantages. I'm sorry to be this kind of ultimate, but it really is that way.
Thank you so much.
There will be time. Both solutions are working, but there will be no reason to use the old one anymore.
Good. I have another one here written from another partner. They were asking about, let's say, the vanilla or the regular Redmine, since Easy Redmine is still built on Redmine. They have a lot of clients, or let's say a few clients, working with the Redmine on their own server currently. They were asking about the migration possibilities from Redmine to Easy Redmine, which for us has always been a pretty straightforward case. It's obviously possible to migrate from Redmine to Easy Redmine to both our server and cloud solutions. In some cases, these clients are a little bit tired of maintaining their own service. So in that case, migrating to our cloud solutions is definitely a good idea. What we do have for this purpose, because I do not want to go in depth here, is we do have this Redmine versus Easy Redmine white paper available. You might see it, you might have seen it in one of the previous newsletters that we've been sending. So just type in your mailbox the keyword newsletter, and it should be there in one of those. Or just reach out to partners at easysoftware.com, and we will be happy to send it your way. There's a lot of information, including the comparison between Redmine versus Easy Redmine, and more information about the potential migration. Should that not be enough, just engage with our support or sales, and we will be happy to help, of course. There was another question from Thierry. Does it mean that the VM format is now the Docker?
Yeah, I guess it's a question for me.
Yep.
Currently, the VM still works with legacy packages, but we are already in preparation of VMs that will contain the Docker. The main point behind the VM, behind this kind of solution, is that the clients are still used to their virtualization environment, so that they know how to work with VMs. They have them orchestrated somehow, so they do snapshots, they do restarts, and whatever they do in their VM orchestration. So we want to keep this option to them. Just the difference will be that inside the VM will no longer be the whole big operating system with every manually installed dependency and our application. The difference will be that in the VM there will be Docker with the specific containers required for our application and our application itself. So it will have a different content inside.
Nice. Another question from Thierry. What can we do to master the pricing for server clients? That's probably something that I can answer, or at least try to answer from my business side of things. At the end of at the current moment, the way it works is our partners come to our representatives to ask for quotes, basically, to learn specific numbers for their server clients, which might not be the best user experience, especially not if you're looking for some ballpark figures that you want to work with. So what we are going to do in the very near future is we're going to create, I'm not sure if it's going to be an Excel spreadsheet, but a simple document or a simple place that allow our partners to actually go there, and even if it wouldn't be the final end price, it will allow our partners to easily calculate the ballpark figure, or a figure that is as close to possible to the actual pricing. So that's something that is definitely going to be planned, and it sort of aligns with one of the questions that I had from one of the other partners that they asked it offline. It was about server licensing, because some of their clients, they lack the budget to do this entry into server solutions. They don't want to go with our cloud hosting because they, for whatever reason, need to have on-premises solutions. But the payment for our perpetual licenses is way too high for them. In these cases, we've presented that before, we've sent that through newsletter, but I'm going to say this here anyway because the repetition is very, very important. We do have the server subscription licensing as well, which basically is rent the on-premise solution scenario. Is that the most usual? No. Is it very helpful for a lot of our partners and clients? Yes. It has proven to allow many clients to actually enter the on-premise solution or implement the on-premise solution while keeping in accordance with their budget. The server subscription is identical to the cloud hosting licensing, or rather costs. But then again, it's something that will definitely be represented in this format that we are going to provide, which I just spoke about. Or if you would like to know more about it right now, just do not hesitate to, once again, partners@easysoftware.com, or just reach out to me directly. We can either schedule a personal call, or I can at least share more information through the email. And there is one more question from anonymous attendee. Where can we find the documentation about the server solution? If we, for example, miss some knowledge about your product, can we reach out for someone for additional trainings? So I think maybe the one part of it, of the documentation, might be for Robert. And then the second, about reaching out for trainings, that might be more towards you, Robbie, right?
Okay, let me start my little quick part. Documentation for on-premise solutions is in our online knowledge base. When you go to our website, and under resources, you will find knowledge base. Under knowledge base, there is for server admins and developers, and this is where you will have gathered all of the information for server admins. That's this is the online information. If the client has already bought the application, has bought the on-premise solution, they also have manual or installation manual within the package in the docs/readme. Is there in the package as well. One of these articles also actually links to that direct guide in the installation package. So we have it all over the place. It depends on what exactly you need, and that's what the partners at easysoftware.com is for. Robbie?
Yep. I'm also going to add to this real quick. This side of the website, there are two coins to this, right? On one side, it's supposed to help our clients, to help our partners. On the other, we want it to be useful, because the more it is useful, the less tickets we have, the less time we have to spend on answering questions that could have been answered through here. What I'm getting at is, if you think that there is some sort of key information for you that's missing there, just let us know through the partner website. It's not that big of a problem. Like, if it's a good point to add it into the knowledge base, if it's gonna help us further to, so we do not have spent that much time on it to keep repeating it to multiple clients, for example, in the future. So do not hesitate to share your ideas. And now, Robbie, up to you for the second part about the upskill training.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's something that showed up not very often, but a few times already, and we've had a very, very brief discussion just before the webinar today with Lucas and with Robo. We're definitely open to the idea of upskilling our partners. That's what we're aiming for. The hard part is to say what does it mean upskill, and like what kind of information are you looking for? Do we need to engage our DevOps team and prepare some big upskill training, or are there some specific small topics that need to be addressed? So I'm saying, yes, we want to provide as much information to you as our partners as possible, but we also need to know like which specific topics or which specific information are you looking for.
I'm going to add to this, just always think twice. For example, I did work with a company that they were interested in providing both cloud and on-premises solutions, but in the history of their company, they have never dealt with server deployments. In such scenarios, when there is literally zero experience, it might be a better idea to just stick to providing cloud-hosted applications of EasyRedMine, because the training might be quite extensive. It might cost a lot of money. It will cost you a lot of time. if you will want to do it because it's your business strategy or vision, we will be happy to participate. But it always deserves a second thought in this area. And allow me to scroll through some of the questions that I've had on the side. Maybe one more. And it was a question about versioning. So there are some clients that might not currently be on version 13 when they might be considering upgrade to version 14. And they were asking of like how complicated it is, like how difficult can it be? My first impression or my first response would be definitely visit our website and go through release notes of these versions that you've missed, just so you know what it's about. For example, some plugins might have been discontinued in the meantime, and it's important for you to know before you start looking for an upgrade. And my general suggestion will always be engage with support, and we will analyze the situation, because it can depend on how old the version is. Obviously, if you're running version 10 and you want to version 14, it can be very different than from version 12 to version 14. Nevertheless, guys, is there anything that you might want to add to this, or have I covered it?
I think you've covered it. Also, if a client is interested in like having a test run, it's also possible. We can import, especially in the like when we're talking about cloud. Here, diverging a little bit from the server topic, but we can basically spin up a machine in cloud, import the data, let the client have a bit of a test, and see.
Okay.
But
Yes.
in general, I would say, don't stay for too long on old versions. It may be a security risk. There's a lot of quality of life improvements involved in newer versions, and we're living in world of IT. Everything moves forward, and who stays back will just
Exactly. By buying a license of Easy Redman from us, you are funding Easy Software, and we are then pumping that money to keep improving the software and taking it further, which means you've invested in us, so you might want to reap the fruit and just go with the latest version, because that's what you've invested into. But at the end of the day, I do understand there might be some external reasons for it, so it's not like I'm trying to convince anyone that's heavily decided. It's just that we always encourage to go into higher versions.
well,
fair enough.
I would like to change the mind of everybody who's staying on the old one.
Beautiful. I have a last question here. Thank you for the kind words. And for business and essential license, do we get the same set of permissions in case of on-premise and cloud version? Yes, I would say that when you look at the Easy Redman itself, just like how it works, what you can do with it, like what plugins you can get. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but there are no differences. It's very much about like the infrastructure behind it. But for example, your Gantt, your resource management, the way you work with your users inside the application, none of that changes based on the deployment.
Yeah, Lucas, I believe this is about understanding what is meant by the permissions. So it of course, the general difference between on-premise and cloud solution is that with cloud you do not have access to the source code, for example. So if this is meant somehow as a permission, I wasn't completely sure. So yes, there are limitations to what you are able to do with the application from the outside in the cloud. Then if you have it hosted on your own premises, just we would have to specify this question a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, nice. It's nice that we covered both angles. Last question that we have here, because it's just about time to wrap things up. Any timeline when version 14 will be released? I think that's a nice ending question, because it's a segue into another webinar that we're preparing. So Robo, can you tell us more about when version 13 is planned for release?
Version 14, just like the previous major versions, is going to be phased a little bit. The first, or let's say the first big public launch is going to be in mid-August. It's going to be 14.0. It will be officially launched on trials. Everyone who starts a trial application from then has version 14 there already. 14.0 is a functional package, so it can also be provided for any clients who may want to test it, who are eager to get it. So let's say this is the very first date for the public launch, and then the official launch, when we will be upgrading the cloud clients, is going to be in the middle of September, with, of course, the respective communication, in-app broadcasts and newsletters, and we will be really shouting out loud that this one is coming, because it has some really neat features in it.
Nice. You've heard about version 14. We are working on another partner webinar with this focus. We have actually set the date earlier today, so we just need to make it formal, send invitations. It's going to have everything about version 14, how to leverage that into more success. Anyway, I hope you learned something, or at least realized that you might have more questions. Both is good. So let's close this out, dear audience. Thanks again for joining, listening. Thank you to my colleagues for sharing a lot of information that wasn't known before. Once again, the webinar was being recorded and it will be shared. The partner mailbox, partners@easysoftware.com, is waiting for your messages. Any closing words from the audience? No, because you guys are muted. Any closing words from you guys? How about you, Robo?
I'm very happy that the air conditioning is working. Hope it's working
Beautiful.
for you as well.
Beautiful. It's working for me. Any closing words from you, Robbie?
It does not work for me, but well, it does, but it's not turned on. But yeah, no, the pleasure has been all mine. Wish everybody a great day, and keep updating your Easy8 Mine.
Nice. Let's end it here. I enjoyed it. Thank you. See you again soon.